What's up everyone, welcome to my video. Today we're gonna talk about Amara. Yeah, what's up? And my Elementalist build, as I like to call it. I've used this build for most of my playthrough. I've used it mostly in the end game as well. I've been beating bosses with it and mobbing in general. It's been really fun. So I would like to share this with you. Let's go over a few things. Let's start with a skill tree. First of all, skill tree. Alright, so we'll talk about the green tree first. It has the least amount of things, the least amount of points invested into it. The reason for me even investing into this tree in the first point is to get the corrosive element on my action skill. I would like to have every single element available to me for my action skill, so I need the corrosive one as well. There's two main perks here that I'd like to focus on, is personal space and clarity. Personal space is overall like a great perk. It allows you to gain 36 extra damage dealt if you're close to the enemy, and the other one, clarity, allows you to regenerate health over time. We're focusing on elements, elemental damage, status effect, and status effect damage. So first of all, we have a choice between two perks. One is Anima, and second one is Infusion. The reason why I don't go for Infusion here is because it converts a portion of damage dealt by Amara's weapons. It doesn't add damage, and sometimes you would like to keep the element of the gun rather than it switching to your action skill element. So here I go for status effect, because this overall buffs my damage and buffs the duration. Further going down, Tempest is a great perk. It increases overall elemental damage, which is great, this is all we're using, plus it adds extra 20% for shock damage. Second of all, Wildfire. I mainly spec'd into this just to progress further down into this tree. So whenever Amara applies status effect, it has a chance to spread. A 32% chance, so 1 in 3, it will spread to other enemies, which is not bad. You'll just do overall more damage to the area of effect. Going further down, we go to Dread. Dread increases gun damage while you're phase locking an enemy. This is really good, because also when you kill a grasped enemy, your current weapon is instantly reloaded. I have 2 points into this. I get 1 extra point from my class mod, and having 2 points into it actually increases your gun damage by 30%. I believe 1 point increases by 15, but having 2 points into this is great. 30% extra damage to grasped enemies is awesome. It's actually not even to the grasped enemies, it's just to any enemy as long as someone is grasped. Second of all, Deep Well. This is such a good perk for elemental weapons, because when you have 1 point into this, it increases your magazine size by 20%, but because of my class mod, once again, it increases it for another 20%, adds up to 40%. Things like Lyuda or Crossroads, it's a significant number. It allows me to one-clip most things. Later on, we're expanding into the Ricochet perk. This is just to do extra damage on the side to all the enemies that are around. We can spread this way. We are also can spread the status effects, which is quite good. And I put 1 point into this, which after applying a status effect to an enemy, when they die, they will explode with that element. I didn't want to invest too much into this because I don't see enemies sticking to each other that closely, but it's nice to have just in general so that you can just do some sort of AoE damage on the side. Plus I needed to put 1 extra point into somewhere. Lastly, over here, previously I tried to spec into Conflux, but the issue with the Conflux is when you damage something, it has a chance to proc another element. This causes a bit of an issue with my build, and I'll explain why later. So I went for Sustainment. This is a great perk because it allows me to maintain my health bar, allows me to survive for a lot longer. So it sort of patches up the issue that I have with this build, survivability. And it's 20% of damage dealt is lifesteal for the elemental damage. And we would like to get the capstone here, where it just increases your gun damage by 18% to elemental damage. Then, for the last skill tree, we spec quite a bit into the blue tree. Why do we spec here is because we would like to have the rush stacks as a support to our build. There's two ways to invest into this. We can invest into both, but I decided to go for one. This one, for rush stacks, for every rush stack consumed, Amara gains action skill damage. I don't really kill things with my action skills, and I don't really use it that way, so I decided to go for the status effect one. Going further down, these 3 up here I get from my class mod as well. It's quite nice to have reload and weapon speed and mode switch speed, but it's not necessary. So if the class mod gives it to me, I don't mind. It just makes it a bit more, like the handling a bit better. Going further down into Restless, this is really important. 25% cooldown rate on your action skill. This allows me to grasp enemies so frequently that I can grasp like every single badass in the fight. Going into here, into Transcend, which is accuracy and critical hit damage. Anything that says critical hit damage, you always want to get. This is what you're using as your main damage for bosses, for anything. You should be aiming for the head, okay? So critical hit damage is really important. Plus it's like 30%, and you get accuracy to hit the crit spots. I put 1 point into here just so that the rush stacks do something else. They just increase my reload speed a bit. I didn't want to invest into it, I didn't see the point, but just to have some sort of effect from the rush stacks into my reload speed is nice. Going further down in here, Ascendant. This pairs really well with how I use my action skills. Is in here. I grasp the enemy, and it locks one enemy, and it links to any enemy that is nearby. I pair that with the augment that Allure. It causes singularity when I phase lock something. So when I phase lock something, it causes singularity, pulls all the enemies towards it, and then they are linked together to share the damage. So when I get this perk, it increases my radius by another 100%. So now the radius of my singularity is twice as high. Going down here to Wrath, extra gun damage, effects increased after activating her action skill. This is just really good because your face grasping everything, so you're getting increased damage almost all the time. That is it for the build. Now let's go into my equipment. Now starting up with my equipment, there's a few really good guns that I've got. I got really lucky with this Lyuda. It's a phase slam 300% increase. It's insane. Plus it's times 2, you can see on the damage there, which means it has 6 pellets instead of 3. Second of all, I use my Arctic Dauntless Nighthawken. Nighthawken is just an insane gun. It is such a good... Plus I got it anointed for my phase grasping, which weapon accuracy, handling, really good. I used 2 crossroads. I have one of each element just in case I want to switch around try out different variations of the elements that I would like to combine. But mostly I use corrosive and shock. Shock is just to strip any shields. And going further down into my shield, I got really lucky with my shields as well. I've been grinding a fair bit. I got some really good anointed shields. But this one I have right in here is the stopgap. So on shield break, become immune to any damage taken. 10% movement speed. When damage has 20% chance to fortify, 10% damage reduction. Or 30% of all damage taken return to the attackers for a short time on action skill end. Then we're going down into class mods. I'd say the most important part of your equipment, just because of the bonuses you can get out here. So the one I'm equipped now is 31% increased sniper damage, which is for my Lyuda is just extra 31% damage. Farming these specifically because they have such good perks with the Deep Well and the Dread. So I have a variation of these ones, and I mainly only use these. I don't even touch the legendaries. Like, I understand that some of them are good, but I haven't really experimented with them because I've just been using these ones. I have one for Dal, I have one for Hyperion weapon critical, just on what I'm feeling like using. If I'm using my Crossroads, I'll put on the Hyperion weapon critical damage. If I'm using my Nighthawken, I'll use the Dal one. Or if I just use SMGs in general, I pop in the 31 SMG damage and pistol damage. So further down here, this is where the synergy goes. I don't take off this relic ever, unless I want the slide relic. This relic allows me to boost my elemental damage by 183% while I'm suffering the element effect. If I match the element effect I'm suffering from and the element effect that I'm using to damage enemies with, I get 183% increase. Plus, the roll that I got on this relic, 16% corrosive damage extra, plus 40% magazine size and 27 melt chance. For the ones that don't know, melt chance is basically corrosive status effect. Extra 60% damage, magazine size another 40, on top of the 40 that we're getting from the perks here. So that's an 80% mag increase. So let me check how many bullets does my Lyuda have. 39. And my Nighthawking has 62. Yeah. And then, because this relic requires me to damage myself, I use low level grenades from a low level Moes. I just buy them and use different ones. I have a few I have this electricity one, the burn one, and the corrosive one right now. I'm gonna farm for other elements later so I can have one of every single element. But the purple one is a 45% chance to set me on melting status effect, which is the corrosive one. And it does 74 damage and 88 damage per second. It does no damage to me. And it sets me on almost every single time. Like 2 grenades. And as you can see, my shield is barely going down. So for shock, I use this. And for my fire, I use this sometimes. So that's my equipment. I have a few of the other guns that I like using. Obviously the Cutsmans. The Cutsmans are so good. But I haven't had luck to get a really good Cutsman. Like the Face Cast one or the Face Slam one. I'm talking about the 300% damage increase. But I have this one, which is a Face Cast and allows me to increase my chance to set a status effect by 50%, which is quite good, but I'd love to have just extra more damage because that's super insane. The another gun that is really good with this is Hellwalker. Because the Hellwalker usually comes with this anointment, 75% increased status effect damage and chance. It pairs really well with this build, especially if you're building like a fire focused elementalist. And another gun would probably be the Companion, because if you didn't know, Companion has a 0 chance to set enemies on fire, but if you crit, it is a 100% chance to set someone on fire. Basically, if you shoot long enough with this gun, it sets you on fire. I try using it, but because it's a high level, when you set yourself on fire, it does quite a bit of damage, and it takes so long to get that to proc that it's just not worth it. So I just use a grenade to damage myself, and then whatever element I want to use, I pair the element of that grenade. And then we're taking less incendiary damage and a 30% chance to reflect projectiles. Let's just see how we pair with that. These modifiers are quite harsh on the damage. As you can see, they're all just dying to all the status effects. And I'm using corrosive, which they're not really weak to because they have shields and they have health. And corrosive is against armor. But you phase grasp something, you get increased damage. If you kill the enemy that is phase grasped, see my phase grasp is already back. If you kill the enemy that is phase grasped, you reload your gun. They do quite a bit of damage here, plus the reflection is gonna kill me here. No problem for us to get up though. Phase lock, do damage to this guy. So not bad, even with such harsh modifiers we're able to cope with all this damage. It's a badass. I don't have my thing up yet. Ah! Here we go. Alright, there's another enemy right here. As you can see, my health is regenerating now, but once I apply a status effect, it will regenerate even faster. As you can see, my health is full now. That allows me to stay alive for much longer. It's important for us to play quite aggressive, because we get extra bonus damage from being close to the enemies. Let's switch out our guns real quick. If we use Nighthawken, this will be a good display. If I don't miss. There, he's dead. Yeah, the Nighthawken, they just can't take it. They just melt when you shoot them with it. The reflect, once again, is killing me.
Ready to unleash this power.
There we go. We have a flamethrower there. It's not to forget to phase lock things.
Stop struggling.
Shoot him. See, the singularity puts them together and then allows me to share the damage between all the enemies. Here, that's a Nog. One of the most annoying enemies because they keep resetting the shields. Flamethrower, not a problem for us if we hit the crits. I thought there was an enemy there. I swear I saw one. Let's kill this guy so we can get up. We might not actually kill him. No, we got him. Phase lock. Singularity, extra damage. Yeah, the reflect here is really harsh. With the 30% as well. I'm actually not a big fan of the modifiers and the difficulty that is set by this game. It seems really hard to have a consistent build in this game, just because of how the modifiers affect you. Like, the modifiers can specifically just rule out your build and just decrease your damage, decrease your damage significantly. Let's damage this guy. Let's try to switch out our grenade because the corrosive is not doing so well here. We can switch out the grenade here onto a shock one. Now if I set myself on being electrocuted, come on, there you go. Now we do increased damage with electricity. Now everything is just dying really fast. There we go.
Absolute massacre.
The electricity works on this part a bit better just because of because they have shields. So using corrosive. Let's just say I died there. So we're back here now. Wrong. I've been really unlucky. That has a 30% chance to set me to be electrocuted. You can see here all the damage numbers we're doing. They're dying really quickly. Our phase grasp is almost up again. We just keep shooting them with electricity. And they just melt. Yeah, the reflect is killing me a lot here. You can see all the bullets that I'm reflecting into myself. I think we might have to reset the Tron fight because I will be struggling a lot to kill him with these modifiers. Here, some more damage. Alright, let's try to kill Tron. I've kept the modifiers. I have the wrong grenade on. Damage ourselves. Phase slam, see how we do. And even with these modifiers, he just couldn't take it. We've got 3 legendaries. That was actually not too bad. We're gonna try killing Gravewort now. Because Gravewort has been like my dummy. Like I just keep going to him and seeing how much damage my build can do. Especially because he got the elemental resistance buff recently. So it's nice to check him out. We're gonna see if my Layuda is gonna one-clip him again. Okay, so yep, we're corroded. Slam. Run up to him. And that's the damage. Usually I'm able to one-clip him. Alright, I've reset the game. Let's see the modifiers. We're getting plus elemental damage. 50 less with normal bullets. Fall down. Use the phase slam. And yeah, he dies just like that. That's how I've been farming him mostly for all my legendaries. I've just been doing this, just reloading and keep killing him. It's the most efficient way. This build is just so good. Well, the best part of this build is probably the anointment on my Layuda. So that works really well. Hey everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more, please consider going over to my Twitch, giving me a follow. We'll be doing more stuff like this. We'll be trying out Melee Amara soon. I'm new to this whole recording thing. I'm trying to grow my channel, grow my Twitch. I'm hoping to be able to do this a lot more often. So I appreciate every support you can get me. Thank you.